Burn the boat in the kingdom, can't turn around. We're lighting up the night, shaking up the ground. Excuses and flames, yeah, we're breaking free. We'll be fire, this is our legacy.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Welcome to the One Big Fire podcast. You got your hosts, Mr. Jay Kinder and Albie Stasic, coming to you from Mr. Kinder from the beautiful city of Frisco, Texas. And I'm out here looking at the mountains of Lake Tahoe. So
one of the most beautiful places. I love your crib, bro. It unbelievable, dude. Blew my mind. Super, super badass. I think about it every day.
Yeah, man. It's it's, I don't know if it's kind of like really, it hit me. I'm still just trying to settle into a rhythm here.
Yep.
What's super cool though, and this is, I think you'd love this too, is like, I'm up, my alarm I set at 4:30 a.m. I've never gotten up that early, but I'm Pacific time right now.
Yeah.
So I'm literally, dude, I'm up super early, but I'm done by 2:00 in the afternoon.
That's awesome.
And for me to it's almost like a whole new level of freedom that I didn't even realize. All the people that are our listeners here on the West Coast, you all know what we're talking about, but I just didn't have that perspective because I've been on the East Coast. You've been Central your whole life. I've been East Coast my whole life. And when you shift 3 hours, earlier, it is a whole, it changes a lot, with your time management and what you can do with your day. And it kind of goes back to the principle of getting up early, which, for you guys, for everybody watching right now, you've heard it talked about a million times. Getting up early costs you nothing in regard to an investment, but what you gain from it on an investment of time, it's remarkable. I'm working through it right now. I remember when you guys were running NAEA at the highest level.
Yep.
I remember you talking about getting up because you were living out in the country still, out in that horse country area.
Yep.
Yeah. And you were up at 4 a.m., but you had to, it was getting to NAEA.
I had to, dude. You had to, in order to win, you had to be at 4 a.m., hit the workout, get to the office by 6 o'clock, a little before, and then you got, an hour and a half of, that you could jam and get ahead of things. And that, that was absolutely necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. And I when you had told me that, the first thought in my mind is dude, I could never get up at 4
I hate
it. But for whatever reason here, it's easy. But I actually just heard something, and we're going to definitely dive into this topic because I'm stoked about it. And obviously I'm a big fan of Alex Hormozi. I want to give him full credit for, kind of the inspiration behind this, because he just put a video out. You can find it on YouTube. Just type in, if you want, it's actually, I stole his headline. If you want 2026 to be the best year of your life, listen to this. And it's 7 hours long, bro.
The video
7 hours. It's 7 hours long. So I'm not even halfway through it, but I'm sitting here the takeaways. I'm taking screenshots. I'm like, damn, this is fire. And it's just literally him with a white background, just having a conversation, which I love that kind of content.
Right.
But he, shoot, I forgot where I was even going with that. But the amount of things you can get done by getting up early, beating everybody there. We've heard it a million times, but for whatever reason on the West Coast, obviously because of the time change. Oh, I know what it was. He talked about not setting an alarm to get up, setting an alarm to go to sleep, and getting to bed by 9 p.m. Yep. That's kind of one of my new habits. And I don't like these things when we talk about New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. I'm looking at 2025 was my year of new habits, creating new from my time management piece to just the things that I do with my time. In order for you to do that, though, you got to have the time, which goes back to your calendar always, right? So for me, the new 4:30 alarm clock. Like last night, I didn't get to bed till 10:30, which for some of you listening right now, that might be an early. That's a good time to get to bed. But for me, my new time to get to bed is 9:00. Like at least get into bed, And when I'm able to get that fresh sleep coming into that, dude, it's everything for the rest of the day. I mean, the rest of the day just floats so much. It actually flies by quicker. I get more done. All the above. So
love it, brother. Love it.
Yeah, dude. So, I wanted to dig into this topic because obviously we're into the new year. We got a lot of stuff going on, but when we talk about falling in love with the boring stuff, right? Everyone's looking for that magic pill that might work in a month if I commit to it, 2 months, commit to it, 3 months. And a lot of times just, as entrepreneurs, because we do get bored quickly. And what Alex was like talking about, the biggest lesson that I've heard so far, and again, I'm not even halfway through this thing, is that to fall in love with that boredom. And I don't care if you're selling real estate, that boredom could mean sitting down and making your calls for 2 to 3 hours. If you don't have anything in escrow, you should be making calls for 5 hours a day. And it's going to be boring. Here's the cool thing about boredom, though. It's only bored. It only becomes bored when you're not passionate about what that result is going to be at the end, and you don't believe fully that you're going to get there. So what happens is they might commit, and somebody might think, well, I'm going to commit to this for 3 months. Okay, cool. What happens if you don't achieve whatever you think success is in your mind in that 3-month period of time? And it made me think about what we've built here with Honey Badger Nation and with Funnel Pilot and all the iterations and everything, like all the phone calls. Like, I want to hear your perspective on this, because there's nobody I know on earth that when I've looked at their calendar, it gives me anxiety. Like that's your calendar. I mean, call after call. I think I have a lot of calls, and I do, compared to whatever you want to compare the average Joe. But when I look at your calendar, like, how is it when you're, obviously we're committed to our agents' success and helping them grow something that's going to be a generational value to their kids and grandkids. And that's what we're committed to. That's the point in the legacy that we're building right now. What is it that every week when it's a Sunday night and before you go to bed, you peek at your calendar, you're like, okay, what does Monday look like? What does Tuesday look like? What is it that keeps you going, dude? Because, it's a lot of repetitive, and some might think, God, that many 3-way calls, that's got to be boring after a while. But for me,
dude, first of all, 2 things. So I'll never forget doing the prospecting. Okay. I didn't like it, but I knew it was a necessary evil. And then I got so busy doing deals that I didn't do as much of the prospecting, right? Like, I was so busy doing deals that I didn't make calls on that day or this there. So like at a point, you do the work long enough. Once I understood, man, I can make these calls and then I can hire someone to make the calls. If I only make calls for an hour or 2 hours a day, and I never probably make calls for more than 2 hours a day, never averaged that. And so I wasn't super productive. I hated doing it, but it got me busy enough that I knew that I can do anything for 90 days. And then, I can hire someone that can make calls all day long and I'll get a return on that labor dollar and I will never have to do it again. And so, things that are hard, that's how I could get through them, is like, I'll do anything if I can see in a window of where I don't have to ever do it again. This is a little different though. Like, I actually really enjoy helping agents. So like, getting on a call and finding out about where somebody's at and like how we can best help them and navigate like where I think the value is that we can really help them, that I enjoy that. And so I will say it's like, dang, man, I thought like I had one today. What I hate more than anything is having a call and somebody no show, right? Like, that doesn't happen ever. Usually it gets rescheduled and it just disappears. And I thought I was going to get to go to the chiropractor because I needed to after Lake Tahoe. And I was like, dang. And I ran long on an appointment. I was like, so I ain't going to the chiropractor today or tomorrow probably. But, so it is, but I'm patiently working towards a solution, right? Like it's been this whole quarter that we've been focused on building out a system that doesn't require me to be the three-way call every time has been a process that takes time. And so I'll continue to do three-way calls. I'll always do them, but I'm way more patient now, than I probably was in the past, because it's nothing that I'm doing is about the money. When it was about the money, and if I hated doing something I was doing, you get tired of doing things that you shouldn't be doing, maybe, right?
Right.
And I feel like I make a difference. If I do 10 calls, 8 people are coming, right? So, maybe 10 some days, but
yeah,
that's, so to me, I feel like it moves the needle, and I like to see the needle move. So that part, I feel like it feels fulfilled at the end of the day. I feel like I'm doing something that makes a difference in the world. All of those things is that's just my viewpoint. And again, I control the calendar. It ain't just wide open. It starts at 9, it ends at 5. You can get in it, so there's a defined end and beginning and end to that. But I do feel it's where I make a difference, right? And so that until I find a mechanism that isn't just me, which will be our call that we start doing this week. When you meet, I know this. Everything that I'm going to tell you about how I'm going to help you grow your business, you're gonna, it's pretty good, okay? But when you meet the team and they tell you everything they're going to do for you, I sat through it with a call where I was like, let me just introduce you to everybody on the team. And they all talked about what it is that they do. And I was like, shit, if people saw this, the whole damn country would be at EXP. And so that's what we're moving to now, as a mechanism where it isn't just me, but I can do that. Now we have a system. Once or twice a week, you get on a call and you meet the whole team, ask your questions. And so, there's a means to an end there. Cause we talked about this. You saw my video of all the sports collection and all the stuff I bought. And it does give me anxiety. Like, I don't like having stuff laying around. And so, like, I'm a little bit distracted this week because I'm like, I got to get this shit out of my office. But outside of that, I enjoy doing the calls. But it is nice to be able to have the control of your time and not being reactive to your day, but being proactive. I proactively put myself in this position because I feel like it's what turns the knob.
Sure. Yeah. Well, right. and I mean, there's a couple things that I wanted to pull out of that. So, if you're not seeing the results, if you are out there making the calls, if you're doing what you need to be doing prospecting, maybe it's social media posts that you're consistent, you're not seeing the results yet. I mean, I was just listening to, I think it was that kid that put that big viral video up of the Somali daycares or whatever. Yeah. And he was talking, I think it was Patrick Bet-David had him on. He was interviewing him. He was talking about like his YouTube channel wasn't taking off and he was like committed for over 2 years. And then finally, boom, something hits. If he would have quit after 3, 4, 6 months, he would have never even saw that. He just kept staying on course. And we've heard this before, is that why does consistency beat talent almost every single time? And what's happened for me was way back when I didn't have the skills, I was out searching for skills. I was searching through a coach, trying to improve my skills, all this other stuff. At the end of the day, the biggest secret that I found was to just go out there and do it. When I was on 2 or 3 listing appointments a day, you might think that gets monotonous. Now, I loved it. At the time, that was what I was doing. That was what I was passionate about. It was what brought in income. And so I fell in love with that process. Now, through that, before I could get skilled, I had to find the discipline to stay consistent. It doesn't work the other way. You don't get skilled first and then you're consistent. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. And it's actually good that it doesn't. Yeah. Because you got to build that consistency muscle. I just remember, dude, it came to a point on listing appointments where I was so excited because it started becoming a game, and I feel like it's the same way on my calls, my 3-way calls, my one-on-one calls with agents when they're stuck is like, okay, I can do this with my eyes closed, not even thinking about it. And the reason that happened wasn't because I studied a bunch of books on recruiting or coaching or any of that bullshit. Yep. It happened just because I got on 20, 30, 40 calls a week.
Yeah.
And then the next week, I did it again. And the week after that, I did it again. And then I did it month after month after month. And that in itself, and it costs you nothing. It costs you nothing in coaching. It doesn't cost you anything to buy some book that you're going to open up, and all of a sudden you're going to have this massive aha, I'm skilled. It doesn't work that way, dude. You just have to do it. And the thing is we see people quitting. 80% of agents that got their license in 2025, it might even be higher now because of the environment. They're quitting. They're quitting in 5 years. They're out. 5 years, they're not going to be in the real estate business. The same thing goes for mortgage brokers. They're they see other people having success and they're like, yeah, I want that. I'll go get my mortgage broker's license. I'll go get my real estate license. It looks easy.
Yeah.
I bet I can fucking do that, and then they quickly find out, shit, I'm broke. What am I not doing right? And all it boils down to, there is no magic pill. But if I had to say the magic pill, it's always going to be around consistency. Shep Black talks about it all the time. Falling in love with that process. How much boredom can you endure? That's my question.
Yeah.
How much boredom can you endure and push past it? Because if you're able to get past that point of boredom of doing the same shit over and over again, day after day, week after week, month after month, there's going to be a time. And I don't know, like for you and I, like when we moved our brokerages over 8.5 years ago, we were kind of fish out of water, dude, because it was a completely different skill set that we didn't have. Like, right. Actually, you actually did have it. We just didn't know it because it was so similar to like selling coaching, but it was so much better, and you guys got highly skilled at selling coaching when that was your business model. Little did we know that translated really well into recruiting agents. And so anyways,
I was talking to a dude today that had he was going through the process of figuring out marketing. He'd done some absentee mailers and had some success. He's paying a ton of money for all this. I'm like, yeah, you're going to figure it out. Like he got a hold of the right person, a mailer that worked, somebody that understands marketing. And he's having a lot of, he's having a little bit of success with it. And now he's going to a group webinar format. And I'm like, yep. The next thing you're going to get to learn is get you about 1,000 webinars under your belt, because that first one ain't gonna work. And so, but he's moving down that path of, I got to solve this problem next. What's my next bottleneck? I got to solve that problem. He's going to win because he's trying to figure it out. And, I think most people get in this business. They don't realize there's a lot of shit that they don't tell you.
Yeah.
Like how to get customers mainly. And that, I think that's, you gotta be dogged, determined, and willing to. And I think that, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I never got bored, because every time I would figure one piece out, there'd be a new problem. Like, shit, now what? A webinar? How the hell do you do a webinar? All right, this is gonna crush. Zero. No sales. Yeah. Like, damn. All right.
I've been there.
Let's go back through that again and see if we can figure that out. Right. Like,
I remember my first webinar I ever did, there was one person on it. I was like, I had so much anxiety, and I knew the person too, right. I was thinking, and so now I'm pretending like, okay, I'm going to pretend there's 30 people, 40 people on this thing, even though there wasn't. And imagine, dude, if 8 years ago, couple months into this, we're like, man, this doesn't work for me. This isn't working. And we just quit.
Right.
Imagine how many lives would have been affected by that.
Mm-hmm.
If we just decided to kick it in, let's just go back to what we knew. Let's just go back to selling coaching. Let's go back to our original brokerage model, reopen our brokerage back up. This thing just didn't work.
Yeah. It
wasn't that. What it was, yes, did we need skills? Yes, we needed new skills, but they weren't, even though we did go out and attempt to, really learn the skills at a faster pace. We hired the best of the best. We brought in who's Brian that gentleman with Legal Shield?
Brian Carruthers.
Brian Carruthers. You know, if you guys haven't read any of Brian Carruthers' books, grab them. They're golden from a stand of like a point of principles. Meaning, when I say principles, they apply to no matter what business you're in. Listening to this, whether it's real estate or selling things or whatever, it's principles. And we studied those, and we hired these guys and flew them to Key West, and we did all those things, brought them into our masterminds to learn it. But that wasn't the whole reason why we got to where we're at today. We got to where we're at today because we pushed through when we were ready to just be like, all right, this isn't working. You know, we don't know how to talk to these agents. These agents, I keep hearing, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy where I'm at. I love my broker. I'm happy where I'm at. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that, it probably would have brought me more money in than revenue share does every year. I mean, it's, you know, but that's not really the reason that you're going to either see success or not see success is pushing through and not thinking that you need to be more skilled.
Hey, let me tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
So back in the day when we had Moses working for us, Brian, if you're watching this, if you catch this clip, you'll appreciate it. We were doing events every day. Moses would go to another city and we'd have to fill the room. Right. So marketing, learning how to fill the room, all these but the right venue, don't do it here because people won't pay to come to there because there's paid parking. All this shit you got to learn to get somebody's ass in the seat. Butts and seats is one of the hardest things in the world to do. If you don't, if you're starting from scratch. And so Moses sends a picture. He's in LA, and we didn't know at the time, probably the first time we'd ever done one in LA. He sends a picture of the room, and he'd send one every morning. So we'd see the show up rate. Cause back then you couldn't track it and see, registers versus show up, as easily with the tech back then. There's one person in the fucking front row seat. One person. Moses sends a picture. Halfway through Brian's presentation, he sends another picture. The guy fell asleep.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, and Brian, of all people that might have quit of anybody, but like in the office, we're like, we got to fucking solve this problem. Like, we can't be having one person and that person falls asleep. We ain't going to hit no sales targets.
Yeah.
But like, all of the, fortunately, I think a lot of everything in life, and this is what I'm learning as we get older and our wisdom, is like a lot of this shit translates over really well to the next thing that you're doing. And you don't even know that that's how life's going to play out. But you'll have done something and you'll be like, that shit I've done before. And I can use that here. And so, but you had, the normal people would have gave up. Me and Mike used to look at each other at 4:00 in the morning and be like, normal motherfucker would quit, wouldn't they? And he's like, yo, there ain't no way. No, most people would never go through this. And it's like, it was like that for years. It was like that. And, you always think you're about to have a breakthrough. The funny thing we used to say all the time was, man, we about to blow up. We about to blow up. We didn't blow up. We blew up something, but that shit didn't work. All right, what's next? Yeah. But like, you got to, and that's where good mentors are super important, right? One of the things I always valued about Jay Abraham was his perspective, having been in 160 different industries on how to make anything happen, work, right? So whatever all the ways are to make something happen, his perspective of all the ways to do something was much greater than my little feeble, experiences in life. And so, when you think there's only this way or that way, you'd be like, no, or you could do it this way, or you could do it that way, or you could do it this way, or you could do it that way. Now, he didn't ever say you should do it this way or that way. He'd always say, now you got all the ways. Now figure out which one you think is the best way and why, right? And he made you think through it. But what mentors bring to the table is their life experiences of all the ways to get through a problem that maybe because you're limited, like we always say about the fish, right? Fish only understand the world below the ocean. They don't understand what's above the water. They don't live up there. So you can never understand that. And if you've never been there, but mentors, and I think we're great mentors because of all the experiences that we've had. We can solve problems in ways that maybe you've never even dreamed of. And that's where I learned, pay the guy the most amount of money and you'll always, that's never failed me. whoever the best in the world. That's why we got Brian Carruthers. That's why I hired Jay Abraham. They have perspective that you don't have and helps to navigate some of these challenges that where you feel like you're beating your head against the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, dude, and this just brought up something else. I'm finishing up another. So I've talked to you about the Untethered Soul book.
Yeah.
Definitely my top book of 2025. And there's actually an offshoot book of it, and it's called the lecture series, the Untethered Soul lecture. And Michael Singer, literally, it's just him recording, him lecturing from that book to a group of people. I don't know if it's college students or whatever. But one of my biggest this week, when I was listening to it on the way back from Palisades, I had it on, and the biggest thing, dude, that I want people, our audience, to hear this. Okay. If you're going through some struggles right now, it affects you in every aspect of your family. You don't know where, if you're in a situation where, man, I don't even know how the hell I'm going to pay this bill. Trust me, you and I, Jay, you've been there. I've been there. I've canceled, you've canceled your Netflix before. I've gotten skinny. But what's interesting is his perspective in the book that was talking about, this is huge, dude. It's everything you were just talking about. And having the ability of the mental gymnastics, but it's actually spiritual mental gymnastics, actually, because it's the spirit that's going to get you to this place, is getting to a point where you're thankful and you actually have gratitude for all that shit that you just went through. Mm-hmm. Or and even more powerful, but harder, is to have the ability to go, kind of like step back from your mind at this moment and give thanks for the shit you're going through right now.
Right now, yeah.
Right now. Even harder, but even more powerful. And I mean, just for me personally, that's what I've been working on for the entire 2025. That journey is going to continue, because I can tell you this: once you have the awareness, that's just step one. Step two, after awareness, is you have to practice that shit. And that's where it's hard. When you're going through it, you're in there like, I remember, dude. I remember when it was before I met you guys in 2000, it was 2009, because I met you guys 2010. Yep. And I remembered, and I mean, even like thinking about this right now as we're talking, it makes me a little emotional, because I remember, dude, 2009, short sales everywhere. It was so hard to get a closing. And when I did, I was just trying to pay a bill that was backed up. I was literally paying my mortgage payment for one of my houses with a credit card. And then I had another credit card that I was paying that credit card with. Like, the amount of like stress, right? And I didn't have the, whatever you want to call it, the mental maturity, spiritual maturity, whatever you want, to like actually in that moment be thankful for that. But if you look back at all the bad shit that's been thrown at you in 2025, and you look at those things and say, damn, I still made it. I'm still here. I still have a huge opportunity in front of me. Like the sky hasn't fallen. I still got out of bed today. And being able to like give thanks for that, because the truth is, that's the point where everybody else quits. That's the point where everyone else is like, man, this ain't for me. And that actually leads me to another question I have for you too, because I do remember a time, and I think it was in 2017, maybe. Yeah. It was the time where you stayed at my house in Redtail, because you guys were going around doing workshops selling partner, I believe. Right. And I remember this so distinctively, because you went to you went to the event, you came back. I've never seen you so deflated in my life, dude. Your head was down. You're like, damn, and the reason I bring that up is because obviously that's another example of what we're talking about. Like, you guys were spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars in trying to fill this room, share this idea, get it out there. You're on the road, living out of a suitcase, whatever. And at one point, there is a point where like we can talk about consistency, like 3 years, give yourself a 3-year timeline versus a 3-month. But at what point do you think someone was like, should be like, okay, it's time to, I got to change the direction, okay, of where I'm going. Like what I'm doing, I've been consistent with it. We were committed to it. We've done the things, right? At what point do you think an agent, loan officer, someone that's, in our business that has to eat what they kill every day, they go back to zero the next month, right? At what point has it been where it's just like, okay, you're not really throwing up a red flag or white flag, whatever. You're not throwing up the white flag, but you gotta pivot, right?
Yeah.
We had to do it.
Yeah, dude. We've never made a hard pivot that wasn't in alignment with the North Star. So it was always try this, try that, try this, try that, try this, everything you could, but the North Star never changed. Anytime we looked at an opportunity that was taking us this way, it was a hard no. So as long as we thought it was going to get us to serving, before EXP, it was 2,000 partners by December 27th, 2024. That was the vision. So now anything's game. Like the first thing I would say, as you were asking that question, is I would say, the first thing you should do if you realize you're digging in the wrong place is to stop fucking digging. Right? It's like, if you're not doing the thing that's getting you there, then and maybe ask a better question. Should you be digging a hole at all? Should you be using a spoon or a shovel or a backhoe? Like, you have to look at, is this the right thing? Or have I not given, like, I don't think it's a great question. Cause like, I think about the first time we tried to do butts and seats, the first webinar nothing ever fucking works. Like it never works in the beginning. So emails, like sending out emails and open rates, like every little thing. And that's why when somebody talks to me today about trying to sell a product, I'm like, you have no fucking clue what you're getting yourself into. You have no idea all the things you're going to have to get right for this to work. Yeah, but I can sell this product for $97 a month. Yeah, but you don't know that they're going to stay on average 3 months. So you better have top of funnel figured out, because you're going to churn through these people so fast that you're never going to make any real money, and you're going to spend the next 6 months figuring all this shit out. Like, there's so many things you have to learn along the way. You just got to be willing to learn them. And you'll know when there's nobody in the audience. You got to figure out butts and seats. What did we do? We would go, all right, didn't Dan Kennedy do a course on called Butts and Seats? Let's see if we can find it in our library of a million things that we bought. Sure enough, broke that out, broke it down, solved butts and seats, put 50, 60 people in every room after that. But like, I think, as long as you're clear on the vision and where you're trying to go, it's what are all the ways that might get you there is what you should be open to, and always say yes to those things that might lead you to getting to that. And then what do I need to learn? What's the and more importantly, you gotta start thinking ahead of that is, once I solve that problem, what problem do I have? Oh, selling from the room. Guess what? They don't all buy, and that, those are things that I think part of my frustration during that time with partner, it wasn't specifically partner. It was the technology partner that we had partnered with. And it just wasn't if I don't believe in something, I have a hard time. We were hoping it was going to become the best technology to work with, and it never did. And I think inherently I knew that I was burning years of my life, out on the road. I'm saying, like, by the time you get on day 4, there was some weeks that we did 5 cities in 5 days. And, that takes a lot of money, a lot of time away from your family. But me and Mike would call. He would be in one city, I'd be in another, and we would call afterwards and we would talk through, hey man, how'd your pitch go? Hey, what are you changing on your slides? And we would iterate, like in the day-to-day iterations. The iterations, that's how you build a skill fast, right? Like the reason I was so good on listing appointments was because I would go on 5 a day, and I could take something if I didn't win, and I could try something different, and I could learn from it faster because I had another person to try it on. You know what I'm saying? I had enough at bats. And so as we're going through all this, and we're learning and thinking we're going to figure it all out, and it gets better as we go city to city. You have some momentum that carries you forward. But on day 5, when you ran out of underwear and socks, you know what I'm saying, you're questioning all your life decisions at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I think, Jay, we talk about it in our current webinar too, is that if you're an agent, LO, whatever you're at, selling something, whatever it is, and Coach Burt, he so eloquently put this, and I love the way he describes this, is that you don't need more money. Real estate agents don't need more money. Loan officers, you don't need more money. You need more people. You gotta get the people first, because the people have the money. And I remember the first time coach said that, and I was just like, think, okay, which is exactly the principle. So when we talk about like, okay, at what point do you stop digging the hole because you feel like you're digging in the wrong place? It's when you're putting enough effort consistently in day after day, week after week, month after month. And at some point, if you're not having more conversations, then you have to pivot. But that doesn't mean that you stop being consistent. It just means that you might have to tweak something, something that you're doing. For instance, today, I mean, was it 2015? I launched a company called Appointments Today. You guys launched an ISA, an entire ISA floor of telemarketers calling to set up listing appointments. Today, we know that most people don't answer the phone if they don't know the phone number that's coming in. I mean, sometimes they're going to answer it once in a great while, a hell of a lot less than 10 years ago.
Yep.
So where do we pivot to? Does that mean we just stop calling? No, but it might mean that you're going to have to start implementing a new strategy and doing that consistently.
Yep.
And today I can just tell you this, the number one thing, dude, and I'm not talking about just, from new leads, but even for follow-ups, the number one thing that I've been doing, and it's almost kind of like a flip switched, and it's shooting a quick short video right from my cell phone and texting that over so they know that I'm a human being. I'm not a bot. I'm not AI. Like I'm just, and it's not even long. Like I'm shooting like a 30-second video saying, hey, it's Al Stasic. I want you to know that this is a person behind there. I'm looking forward to talking to you in 15 minutes. And it's just getting that show up rate increasing dramatically just from that one little move. And guess what? If that goes through and they don't respond to it, I don't gotta worry. I'm not even upset about it. It was actually Woods, dude. I don't know if I told you this, but when Woods came in, it was about 3-4 weeks ago, came into Cleveland and he was doing a workshop with Darren Mancuso. They crushed it, by the way.
Right.
Awesome. And he got out, he was at the airport. He got off the plane and I'm like, yeah, dude, come on over to the house. And it was the night before the event. I'm like, yeah, come over. We'll get some dinner, get a workout in. He's like, yeah, right after I make these videos. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, they had 100 people registered for that workshop. So Wood sat down for 2.5 to 3 hours and shot a small 30-second video to every single one of those attendees, confirming that their show up rates are crazy.
Right.
Because he just commits. Like can you imagine, like, would you commit to that? I'm not talking about you, Jay, but like you in the audience. I mean, would you commit to sending 100 videos in a matter of 3 hours? And frankly, this is someone who doesn't, he's going to have steak and lobster anyway. Woods, he makes enough money where he didn't have to be in Cleveland. He didn't have to spend 3 hours texting and emailing or texting a video to every single one of those agents, naming them by name. But it makes a huge impact on your result. So it's how much do you think you get bored after the 10th or 15th or 20th video? Yeah. I mean, I probably would, but that's the difference maker right there.
Yeah. Well, if you go through all the work to get, to the registration and all of that, and you would feel real silly if only 20% of the room showed up and you could have had 65, right? Like that's a huge difference in what can happen with the people that spend a few hours with you. And so, yeah, man, but once you learn that, you either do it or you don't. And the difference between people that are successful is the successful people do shit that they don't want to do anyway. That's the only difference.
Yeah, man. If you sat there and shot 100 videos and sent them over, I guarantee you're going to get good at it. I guarantee the next time you sit down to shoot those follow-ups to all your leads that are coming in. Imagine every buyer lead that comes in, we talk about, follow-up is the thing that falls to the side every time. What if you not only just made that initial call? Most agents that we know, just from statistics, they make it to maybe the second or third call, and then that's it. That lead disappears into their CRM, never to be heard of or seen again. I mean, let's just face it. I've been guilty of that myself. And then we depend on this campaign that we have that's automated that does this. Now, obviously, those campaigns are getting better with AI. It's a whole new game out there. But if you were to just sit down and commit to sending a short video to every single lead, every soul that came in, introducing yourself, 30 seconds, dude, it becomes like brushing your teeth. And you get, guess what? Before you shot that first video and you're nervous to shoot it. You're nervous to, what am I going to say? Am I going to be tripping over? What are they going to think about how I sound on this video or how I look? Or doesn't matter. Just do it. Rip the fucking cover off, Band-Aid off, and just send it. And then send another one and another one and another one. I can guarantee you this. There might be a little pain and boredom by the time you get to that 100th little follow-up video, okay? But you are going to be so freaking highly skilled at shooting these things, you're going to start to actually fall in love with the process. You got to push through that initial pain and commit to it. And what's going to happen is when you have the right strategy, so it's the right strategy, right? You know, you could be consistently working on the wrong strategy. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get anywhere. Right? I mean, that's what we learned, you know? And I mean, think that's like 8.5 years ago when we made the shift over and we brought our brokerages over, we knew we were digging a hole in the wrong spot. We were digging.
Yep.
I mean, you know, it was,
we were using a spoon, not even, not a shovel, not a backhoe. We were using a spoon.
Yeah. What's up, DJ? DJ Farley on here.
What's up, DJ?
DJ hitting those Steelers, dude.
Dude, I loved that game. What a freaking game.
DJ, he's over there having a great week. But, yeah, man, I appreciate everybody coming on.
Hey, one thing that I want to add to what you said this then, Al. Most, there's two types of people, and one, don't be the first one. The first type of people that are the ones that go, yeah, man, I got 100 leads, but I couldn't, none of that, it didn't work, right? Like they don't come to the table and go, there's 100 people that I could have sold a house to. There's got to be one or two of them I could sell. What do I need to do to increase my contacted rate? Right? They just say it doesn't work. Those people, I can't help you. Like I hear that from time to time. Like I know if you follow what we tell you to do, you're going to get results. So it ain't a game you can play with me. It ain't the leads. It's you. Do we want to talk about that or not? What are we doing? Where can we be better? And the person that gets defensive and wants to make their excuses, you can keep your excuses and you can keep your failure. You're going to be a failure forever until you change who you are. And the other person is that person that's like, all right, what else could I do to go from 15% contacted to 30%? What could I do to improve that? If I could double my contacted rate, what would happen then? I would double my sales. Like you have to. I think a lot of this for me came from Jay Abraham. I'll never forget, dude. When I went to that first Jay Abraham event, I remember I got on the plane. I was so damn excited about everything that I learned because I'd never heard it before. And it just expanded my brain to, there's only 3 ways to grow a business. All these principles that I had never heard before. And this poor lady sitting next to me on the plane. In fact, she was the girlfriend of a public speaker, Eric Lofstrom, and he works with Brent Gove now.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah. And so Eric Lofstrom, he was a public speaker, and I was like, I had all these notes. This poor girl got an education on the flight home from LA. She had no idea, but she saw I was so excited. But like once I knew what was possible and what are all these ways that I didn't know, like I could never go back to being like, that didn't work. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. How many things did you try? Did you try one? Yeah. Did you try 100? No, didn't do that. But yeah, it's just, you got to be committed, that's
you do need to be committed. The one thing we haven't talked about is you also got to be humble. Like if you're not living in the realm of humility, you're never going to learn anything because you think you know it all. If you're there's only one thing getting in your way, and it's your ego. Mm-hmm. And here's the good news. Like you think you grow, anybody out there, anybody who's been successful, made a few $1 million and grown an organization and you watch them from the outside and you think to themselves, oh, look at this. This guy's got this. He's got this nice car, a boat, a house, whatever. And you know, if in the back of your mind, you think for a second that they're not actually humble and you start mistaking them for, you know, that they're arrogant, I can tell you this, maybe they're coming across as arrogant, but at the end of the day, they are probably the most humble people because they had to learn something. You're never going to allow yourself to even learn from someone like you sitting on a plane if you just can't step back into a position of humility and understand that there's somebody that knows more than you about that specific thing, and you're willing to actually learn. And in order to do that, you have to remove the ego.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, we talk about it all the time. Hungry, humble, and smart. Without that third thing, you could be hungry, you could even be smart, but if you don't have the humility, you ain't going to learn, you're not going to grow. And I think that's another big piece of the consistency thing. Like, you got to be able to pivot. And so kind of in wrapping up here, there's only a few ways to do that. You know, get humble, start learning, right? The other way is to change your environment. Get into an environment of leverage, which is this is the number one word that drives everything we do other than adding value to agents, is the fact that they can leverage us. Get into the environment where people are smarter than you. Get into an environment where people are thinking bigger than you. If you have the awareness and you know, if you're just being real with yourself and you're staring at the mirror in the bathroom and you're like, dude, I'm full of shit. I got some stuff that I need to learn. I'm not going to be able to get this. This is not my skill set. Getting a webinar up and running and recording it, it's just not where I'm powerful at. Maybe you just need to partner with the right people who have that figured out, and then focus on what your skill set is. How many times have you heard this, Jay? If you could just get me in front of somebody, I'm good.
Yeah.
If you just get me in front of somebody, I can close them. I just need more people.
Yeah.
Well, that's a marketing problem because you just need more people. And marketing in itself is just a huge word that, you know, we could talk about for weeks and weeks and weeks. But at the end of the day, it's leverage. Who do you know right now that does have it figured out? And are you humble? And do you have enough humility in you to say, you know what? I think they might have it figured out better than me. They may know something that I don't. And do you have that? Can you cast your ego to the side long enough to say, you know what? I think maybe I should just partner with these people because they figured something out that I haven't figured out. And I don't want to spend the next 10 years of pain trying to figure all that out. I want to focus my consistency and my daily actions on talking to people, having more conversations with people, because people have the money. Yep. Great conversation, brother.
Man, that was great. Absolutely. Assume you're wrong in your thinking, man. So many times I catch people just, I mean, you can smell it, man. They just want to be right. That's all they're trying to be is right. Man, you're looking at the wrong side. Quit trying to see why you're right and look for where you might be wrong. And that's where the growth happens. And, yeah, man, it's all good, brother.
It's powerful, dude. It's a sacrifice too. Like sacrificing your ego for success. How big are your goals? And I'll even say this too. This may turn some of your stomachs a little bit. Okay. But who in your circle needs to be eliminated? Who's not adding value to where you're at? Who in your circle is pulling, actually not intentionally, by the way, it might be friends, family member that because they're not aligned with your goals, and you can't expect everybody to be aligned with your goals. They're your goals, but you're going to find some people. If you open your mind up enough, you're going to find people who think the way, maybe they think bigger, but that's the way you think. And you need to grow into that. There's just this learning curve that you need to hop on that train, change your environment, change the people that are around you, meaning you may have to make a hard decision. I've made some hard decisions in this category and it sucks. I'm not going to lie. It's not like it's easy to do, but if there's people that are in your circle that relationship, which is getting you nowhere, right, is more important than your goals, then you're never gonna hit your goals if you're gonna keep that relationship. It's gonna literally be keeping you, because environment beats will every single time. We know this. This isn't a new concept, but you still have to have the the mental muscle to be like, no, I'm that person. I'm going to love them from a little further away. Okay. They can do their thing. I'm going to have to hit the delete button or tab, whatever it is. They just can't stay in my circle right now because they're not adding the value. They're not getting to where my goal is. And that's not just business goals. It's your personal goals, your faith goals, your financial, business, family, all those things. In 2026, take a really close look at your house, like the house that you're keeping. I'm not talking about just your house you live in. I'm talking about your house, man, your circle. Is it pushing you up? Is it challenging you? Or are you when you're looking around, are you thinking, damn, these people, they don't even want to be on the same path that I'm on. And if that's the case, you know what you need to do. Great chat, brother.
Word up, brother.
Good stuff. Brother. Good stuff. Well, hey, if partnering is something that you know that you need to do, but you've been stopping, head to jakehinder.com, albystasic.com, hop on our schedule. We'll see you at the top.
Or from the top.
Have a great one.
Later.
Happy New Year.
Yep. Happy New Year.